If you're an animal lover, then you'd do anything to help a creature in need, yet animals rely on us to help them when the going gets tough. And luckily, there are plenty of special people out there who dedicate their life to rescuing these incredible animals.
We've been seeing their body language, we've been seeing the ecosystems.
The bond between a person and their animal companion can be one of the most unique and meaningful friendships to exist. And today, we're looking at the brave souls who saved a helpless creature and were rewarded with a lifetime of gratitude. From the elephant who cried tears of joy after being rescued, to the Florida man who saved his puppy from the jaws of an alligator without even putting out his cigar. These are the 15 times humans rescued animals and got thanked in the cutest way.
There you go. Do you have enough now? I don't have any more food, okay? I'm sorry.
Raju the elephant. Animals have feelings too. Raju the elephant was rescued after 50 years of captivity, and on the day he was released, he actually shed real tears. This super intelligent animal has been scientifically proven to experience feelings of grief, and half a century in chains had taken its toll emotionally on him. It's believed that he was poached in India as an infant and was beaten for 5 decades while living in spiked shackles and forced to beg from tourists from the street. This 5-ton animal was used by his owners to panhandle for change by holding out his trunk, and at one point was surviving on a diet of only paper and plastic. Thankfully, a charity named Wildlife SOS flew out to India to free Raju and finally released him from his shackles on the 4th of July. Yeah, it's only fitting that this elephant should finally find freedom on Independence Day. This majestic creature cried tears of joy as he was taken away from his cruel captors and has been living his best life ever since. Hey, we love a happy ending. Hey, did you know that if you smash the like button, subscribe, and click the notification bell, you're more likely to win the lottery? So what are you waiting for? The condor rescue. This giant condor fell from his mother's nest as a baby, but luckily Edgardo was there to nurse him back to health. The Argentinian man rescued and hand-raised Condorito the condor as a chick, and now he's a fully grown bird, and he still comes back to Edgardo's home to express his eternal gratitude. Viral video footage shows the unlikely buddies cuddling up during an emotional reunion, and according to locals, the bird returns back to his rescuer pretty regularly. And that's what we call true friendship. You'd think that the largest bird in North America has better places to fly, but not this sentimental condor. You know what they say, there really is no place like home. The legend of Kojak. Some people keep dogs, some people keep cats, and some people have pet crocodiles. Yet Kojak the croc was the beloved companion of a family in Bogor, West Java, and he actually lived in their home for over 20 years. And Kojak was certainly one large pet. At 9 feet long and 200 kilograms in weight, this domesticated killer was like a big brother in the house. And we mean big. This oversized croc munched down on a whopping 2 kilograms of fish every single day, and his owners even fed him by hand. Not only that, but they even brushed his teeth too. With one of the most powerful bites in the world, we can't even imagine getting our hands close to this enormous reptile. That's gotta be true love. Kojak was raised as a tiny baby, and when they got him, he was just 10 centimeters in size. They really do grow up so quickly. When shocking footage of Kojak's cozy life indoors started to circulate the internet, many online commentators couldn't believe that this scaly beast was actually living amongst humans and nobody had gotten hurt. In fact, his viral fame would ultimately become his downfall, and before long, the Indonesian authorities had gotten involved, demanding that Kojak should be moved to a conservation park more suitable for a giant croc. After 2 decades of domestic bliss, it was time to say goodbye to this extremely unusual pet. We guess sometimes a dog or a cat is the better choice. The water snake whisperer. This retired zoo director still has a way with animals. Tim Jones has a real gift. He can bond with snakes. Yeah, this Texas pensioner has been feeding the water snakes living in the lake behind his house for years, and now they'll even crawl up onto his lap for food. This might make some people's skin crawl, but Tim loves quality time with these cold-blooded reptiles. There's one giant snake in particular that's forged an unlikely friendship with the serpent-loving senior, an enormous female diamondback water snake that swims up to the dock when Tim approaches. Slithering up the dock and onto his leg, the snake couldn't be more comfortable in this older gentleman's presence. The former zoo director even tapes his pants up so that the snake can crawl inside. Better safe than sorry. Yeah, some people feed the ducks, but Tim Jones likes to feed the snakes. To each their own, we suppose. Guy saves puppy from alligator. What would you do to rescue your puppy from danger? This Florida man didn't think twice before jumping into a pond to save his 3-month-old Cavalier King Charles Spaniel from the jaws of an extremely hungry alligator. Only in Florida. Yep, this 74-year-old pensioner leaped into the water to wrestle the scaly predator and free his beloved dog from the reptile's vice-like grip. What's even more impressive is that Richard Wilbanks performed this heroic rescue mission without even dropping a cigar. The 4-foot gator had jumped out of the pond near his property to grab the poor puppy, and after tussling with the alligator for a few moments and prying open his powerful jaws, Wilbanks emerged from the water triumphant. Not a lot of people can say they've battled an alligator and lived to tell the tale. The incredible footage was caught by spy cams set up in the area to document wildlife, and the astonishing attack was only spotted once Florida Wildlife Federation workers went to check the camera's memory cards. The moral of this story is if you live anywhere near alligators, make sure you walk your dog on a leash. You don't want your puppy to become crocodile chow. Georgia deer saved twice. This jogger's morning run turned into a rescue mission. Yet when Chloe Dorsey set off for a daily workout, she didn't expect to be saving a deer's life. In fact, she rescued the same deer not once, but twice. While jogging around Stone Mountain Park in Georgia, Dorsey noticed that a helpless deer had become trapped between the bars of a metal fence. Desperate to help the wild creature, she actually bent the metal bars in order to release it from its steel prison. But as soon as Dorsey picked up her phone to continue her run, the deer had yet again become wedged between the railings of a fence. Except this time, the bars could not be moved. In the viral video clip, the exhausted jogger can even be heard asking, "What is wrong with this girl?" Not even a minute had passed since she freed the deer, but yet again, it was down to Dorsey to save the day. Jumping on the fence with enough force to set the clumsy animal free, Chloe recorded the entire incident on her phone and uploaded the insane footage to Instagram. Who knew that rescuing a deer could be such good exercise? Thirsty, thankful squirrel. Just when we thought squirrels couldn't get any cuter, this adorable viral video clip shows the moment that a thirsty squirrel finally got some much-needed hydration. The footage of this smart squirrel got over 3 million views on Reddit, and many online commenters remarked at how intelligent urban squirrels have become when it comes to communicating with humans. The animal gets up onto its hind legs and gestures with its paws to the water bottle in a man's hands, hoping for a sip of the refreshing liquid. Kindly, the man offers his beverage to the squirrel, who then gulps it down in a matter of seconds. That must have been one thirsty squirrel. Yeah, these rodents have officially learned how to get what they want from us humans. All that's to learn now is their please and thank yous. Buck rescued on Lake Erie. These fishermen were on their boat 3 miles offshore when they stumbled across one of the strangest things they've ever encountered on a fishing trip. Jason Langton and Scotty Domine were on Lake Erie in Michigan when they spotted a pair of horns sticking straight out of the water. After taking a closer look, they realized that the mystery horns actually belonged to a swimming stag. Realizing that the deer was struggling to stay above the water and wouldn't make the 3-mile trip back to the shore, they decided to turn their fishing trip into a rescue mission. The two friends threw a rope around the deer's antlers and dragged the exhausted buck back to the mainland for an hour and 10 minutes before finally releasing him back into the wild. Now that's one big catch. The life of Bob the cat. When we think of cats, it's easy to label them as aloof or distant, but not this cat. Bob was a one-of-a-kind feline that changed the life of his new owner forever. Yep, this street cat chose a homeless James Bowen to be his lifelong soulmate, and the friendship that's followed has warmed the hearts of people all over the world. 2 blockbuster movies have been made around this incredible cat, as well as a series of best-selling books. Bob has even met the royal family. This inspirational ginger kitty first wandered up to Bowen on the street when he was going through the toughest time of his life, and pretty soon, the two had formed an unbreakable bond. They would bust together, curl up together at night, and Bowen even spent every last penny he had making sure that Bob could be seen by a veterinarian. There was nothing aloof about this cuddly cat. From that point on, Bowen knew he was no longer alone and had a constant companion to help him get through the difficult times. He wrote a book about their life together, and his story moved so many people across the globe that it was made into a Hollywood movie starring Luke Treadway as James Bowen and Bob the Street Cat as himself. That's right, this cat is not just a fantastic friend, but a fantastic actor too. That's one special pet. A lion named Christian. This epic reunion was filmed back in 1971, but it only found viral fame in the early 2000s when a fan uploaded the clip to MySpace. It was then posted to YouTube to become one of the most heartwarming videos on the entire internet, over 30 years after the incident took place. Christian the lion was born in captivity and purchased by John Rindle and Anthony Bourke from the luxury London department store Harrods in 1969. He lived with his new family in their furniture shop Sophisticat, and they even allowed him to walk back and forth to the church graveyard so he could get some much-needed exercise. However, as the lion grew from a cub into an adolescent, it became clear that his quarters in the basement and strolls around the church weren't quite enough. It was then that the conservationist George Adamson agreed to take Christian and introduced him to the African wild. 1 year later, after the lion had ventured into the wilderness and started his own pride, Rendell and Bourke flew to Africa to check up on their beloved pet just to see how he was doing, despite the fact that Adamson had warned them that he may not remember who they were. Incredibly, Christian spotted his former owners and ran to their side, jumping up and giving them a great big hug. This emotional reunion brings a tear to our eyes every time. Shrek finally gets sheared. What's the longest you've ever gone without a haircut? This sneaky merino sheep hated getting his coat sheared so much that he actually ran away from home on the South Island of New Zealand and started a new life in the nearby caves, where no farmers could get their hands on them. Usually, merino sheep have their famous coats sheared once a year, but Shrek had other ideas. No one was going to touch his woolly coat. Yup, Shrek actually managed to avoid the dreaded scissors for a grand total of 6 years, until his secret hiding place was finally discovered. However, it took some time for farmer John Perriam to recognize him, stating that Shrek now looked like a biblical creature. Yeah, this legendary sheep had grown a fleece that weighed over 60 pounds and had accumulated so much wool that you could have made suits for 20 fully grown men. His coat was so colossal that he looked like he was wearing the world's largest woolly sweater. You wouldn't want to be stuck with a coat like that during the summer. After much deliberation, Shrek was finally sheared live on New Zealand's national television, and his fleece was auctioned to raise money for children's charities. He even met the Prime Minister. Sorry, Shrek, but your wild caveman hairstyle just wasn't meant to be. Fido, the most faithful dog. If you thought your dog was loyal, wait until you see Fido. Known to be the most faithful dog in human history, this dedicated canine demonstrated unwavering loyalty to his owner even after he'd perished. This inspirational dog became famous back in 1943 when he was seen waiting at the bus stop for brick kiln worker Carlos Soriani to come home from his job, even though he had sadly died during a factory bombing in the Second World War. Fido, which means faithful in Latin, used to greet his owner at the bus stop in Borgo San Lorenzo, Italy every day, ever since Carlo had rescued him as a pup. But after his owner stopped showing up at the bus stop, Fido continued to do so each and every day. In fact, he did so for 14 more years until he reached old and passed away. Yet Fido had waited patiently over 5,000 times for Carlo to come home, even though he knew he never would. This awe-inspiring canine was so beloved by the people of Italy that he was awarded several honors, and there's even a statue standing in his honor. What do we do to ever deserve dogs? It's true what they say, they really are a man's best friend. Albert the tiny quail. Ever wondered if your grocery store eggs could miraculously hatch? When Dutchman Alwyn Wills bought a pack of quail eggs from his local market in the Netherlands, he decided to conduct a fascinating experiment. Alwyn actually set up an incubator in his home and placed all 12 eggs inside just to see what would happen. According to farmers, it's nearly impossible for store-bought eggs to hatch due to the fact that there's such a slim chance of fertilization. But nevertheless, Alwyn was curious. Sure enough, less than 1 month later, just one of the tiny eggs hatched, revealing a tiny quail chick. Looks like it's not so impossible after all. It's crazy to think that you could have your very own pet chick sitting in your fridge right now. This cute quail now has his very own YouTube channel, and Alwyn and Albert are virtually inseparable. Wow, We'll never look at our scrambled eggs in the same way ever again. Kittens rescued on lake. Every fisherman has a crazy fishing story, but this has to be the cutest one we've ever seen. When best buds Jason Frost and Brandon Key were fishing on the Warrior River in Alabama one Saturday morning, they made one of the strangest catches of all time. Hearing strange noises and seeing mysterious splashes by the riverbank, the two men decided to investigate. And upon further inspection, the bizarre commotion turned out to be not one, but two tiny orange kittens jumping into the water and swimming towards their boat. The baffled fishermen pulled the kittens to safety, toweled them off and gave them a drink, and before long, the lost cats were making themselves at home on the boat. Let's face it, what cat wouldn't love being surrounded by freshly caught fish? Jason and Brandon told reporters that people sailing by must have thought they were crazy cat people when they brought their pets fishing with them, but the truth is, they just saved these little kittens' lives. When they got to shore, a family with two small daughters saw the curious cats and fell in love, and even offered to adopt the newly rescued animals. Now, they're living a happy life with their new owners, who have named the kittens Warrior and River. Pretty adorable, huh? The Shark Man. Meet the Shark Man. This South African conservationist may have been a pretty creepy nickname, but he's actually one of the most knowledgeable shark experts in the world and can even communicate with great white sharks. Michael Rootson has been free diving with these gigantic predators for over 2 decades, and he's petted and rolled on the back of some of the most fearsome sharks on our planet. Yeah, you gotta be either brave or crazy to get this close to a great white, but Michael isn't fazed by them at all. He claims to be able to read their body language, as well as using his own body to communicate with these massive sharks, and he describes them as highly social, placid animals that are not actually as aggressive as people think they are. Well, that may be the case, but we still don't think we'll be jumping into the ocean to swim with sharks anytime soon. Michael has had multiple documentaries made about him, and his show, Beyond Fear on the National Geographic Channel, was viewed by over 300 million people. He's even invented an incredible device that acts as a barrier between sharks and people, which is being hailed as the first ever eco-friendly alternative to shark nets. What an awesome job!